we'll walk you through the top 20 basic Angular interview questions every beginner should know. Whether you're new to Angular or just brushing up before your big day, this guide will help you understand the core concepts, from components and modules to modern features like signals and standalone components. We'll break down each topic with clear explanations and practical examples so you can approach your interview with confidence. Let's dive in and start your journey to acing that Angular interview. Angular is a modern open source framework developed by Google. It's built with TypeScript and designed to help developers create dynamic, single-page web applications. Angular offers modularity through ng modules, reusable UI components, two-way data binding, dependency injection for clean architecture, and powerful routing for seamless navigation. These features make Angular a popular choice for building robust and scalable web apps. Understanding what Angular is and why it's used is often the first question you'll face in an interview. So, be ready to explain its core strengths. Components are the heart of every Angular application. Each component manages a specific section of the user interface, known as a view. A component consists of a template, which defines the HTML structure, a class written in TypeScript holding the data and logic, and metadata, which links the class with its template, selector, and style. Components are self-contained, reusable, and testable, forming a tree of nested components that make up the entire application. Interviewers often ask about the structure and purpose of components, so make sure you can describe their three main parts and how they interact. Modules, or ng modules, are essential for organizing Angular application. An ng module is a class decorated with @ng-module, grouping related components, directives, pipes, and services into a cohesive unit. This organization helps manage large apps by dividing them into logical sections. Key properties include declarations, imports, providers, and exports. Since Angular 14, standalone components can work without ng modules, but modules are still useful for structuring imports and providing services. Be prepared to explain the role of modules and how they differ from components. Data binding is a fundamental concept in Angular, connecting the component's data with the template or view. There are two main types. One, way data binding, where data flows in a single direction from component to view or vice versa. And two, way data binding, where changes in the view and component reflect each other. One-way binding includes interpolation, property binding, and event binding. Two-way binding uses the ng model directive, which requires the forms module. Understanding these binding types and their syntax is crucial for building interactive Angular applications. Directives are classes that add behavior to elements in Angular. They allow you to manipulate the DOM, change appearance, or modify structure. There are three main types: component directives, which have a template and act as custom elements; structural directives, which modify the DOM layout, like ×ngIf and ×ng_for; and attribute directives, which change element appearance or behavior, such as name class and name style. Mastering directives is key to creating dynamic and responsive user interfaces in Angular. Services in Angular are classes decorated with @injectable that contain business logic and data operations shared across components. They follow the singleton pattern, meaning one instance is shared app-wide. Dependency injection (DI) is a design pattern where Angular provides these services to components automatically, promoting loose coupling and easier testing. Services are commonly used for API calls, data sharing, and business logic. Understanding how to create and inject services is a frequent interview topic. TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript that adds static typing and modern features. Angular is built with TypeScript by default, which brings benefits like type safety, better IDE support, object-oriented programming features, and access to modern JavaScript capabilities. Interviewers may ask why Angular uses TypeScript and how it improves development. Be ready to discuss how TypeScript helps catch errors early and makes code more maintainable. The Angular router enables navigation between different views or components in a single-page application. It maps URLs to components, uses a router outlet as a placeholder for routed content, and supports both programmatic and declarative navigation. Setting up routes and understanding how navigation works are essential skills for any Angular developer. Interviewers may ask you to explain routing concepts or set up basic navigation in code. Pipes in Angular are used to transform data in templates without changing the original data. Built-in pipes like date pipe, currency pipe, uppercase pipe, and JSON pipe help format values for display. You can also create custom pipes for specialized transformations. Pipes are a simple yet powerful way to keep your templates clean and readable. Be prepared to explain how to use and create pipes and when to apply them in your projects. Lifecycle hooks are special methods that Angular calls at specific points in a component's life. Common hooks include ng-on-d-on-it after initialization, ng-on-destroy before destruction, ng-on-changes when input properties change, and ng-after-view-init after view initialization. These hooks let you perform setup, cleanup, and respond to changes in your components. Interviewers often ask when and why to use certain hooks, especially for resource management and initialization logic. Event binding in Angular listens to DOM events and responds to user actions like clicks or key presses. The syntax is event equals handler. Property binding sets DOM element properties dynamically using component data with the syntax property equals expression. Understanding the difference between these two binding types and knowing when to use each is crucial for building interactive Angular apps. Interviewers may test your knowledge of binding syntax and its practical application. Interpolation is a simple way to display component data in templates using double curly braces like value. It allows you to show properties, evaluate expressions, and call methods directly in your HTML. Interpolation is often used for displaying text, calculated values, or method results. It's a key part of Angular's data binding system, and interviewers may ask you to demonstrate its syntax and use cases. Signals, introduced in Angular 16, are a new way to manage reactive state and change detection. They provide fine-grained reactivity, updating only what changes for better performance. Signals use a simpler syntax and support computed values that automatically update when dependencies change. This feature represents the future of Angular's reactivity model, making state management more efficient and intuitive. Be ready to discuss how signals differ from traditional change detection. Standalone components introduced in Angular 14 allow you to build components without needing ng modules. This modern approach simplifies application structure, enables direct imports of dependencies, and results in smaller bundle sizes. Standalone components are now recommended for new Angular projects, making development faster and more modular. Interviewers may ask about the benefits of standalone components and how to use them in practice. Angular 17 introduced a new built-in control flow syntax with at, if, at, for, and at switch, replacing older structural directives like times ng if and times ng for. This new syntax offers better performance, cleaner and more readable code, and improved TypeScript support. Understanding how to use these control flow statements is important for writing modern Angular applications. Be prepared to explain the differences and advantages of the new syntax. Angular offers two approaches for handling forms: template-driven and reactive forms. Template-driven forms use simpler syntax and are ideal for basic forms, relying on directives and forms module. Reactive forms provide more control and flexibility, making them better for complex forms, and use reactive forms module. Both approaches support validation and form submission, but reactive forms are preferred for larger applications. Interviewers may ask you to compare these methods or implement a simple form using either approach. The @input and @output decorators enable communication between parent and child components in Angular. @input allows data to flow from parent to child, while @output lets the child send events back to the parent. This pattern is essential for building modular and interactive applications. Interviewers often ask you to demonstrate how to pass data and handle events between components using these decorators. Observables are a core part of Angular's reactive programming model, used for handling asynchronous operations like HTTP requests and event streams. Powered by the RxJS library, observables emit values over time and support powerful operators for data transformation. It's important to understand how to subscribe to observables, use common operators, and manage subscriptions to avoid memory leaks. Interviewers may ask you to explain or implement observable patterns in Angular. Many beginners make similar mistakes in Angular interviews, such as confusing components and modules, misunderstanding change detection, forgetting to unsubscribe from observables, or mixing up binding syntax. It's also common to overlook modern Angular features like signals and standalone components. To avoid these pitfalls, practice explaining each concept clearly, write code examples, and build small apps to reinforce your understanding. Being aware of these common errors will help you stand out in your interview. Thank you for watching.